What's up, guys? Getting back into my groove, making multiple videos a day, hopefully every day. I got a lot of stuff to talk about, so hopefully it doesn't annoy some of you guys. Got a message recently. I've had a few messages in the past about this, but I got one recently where a guy he said, "This is probably slumming it for you, but could you do a video or a review of the Lansky Turnbox?" And it's not slumming it for me at all. Actually, I use this quite a bit. I used to use it more than I do now because I've moved to thinner edge geometries, but this is an excellent tool. At $30 or $40, it would be an excellent tool, but I got this at Academy Sports for, I think, all of $13 out the door, something like that. Incredible price, honestly. It's pretty incredible for what it is. It's a really good kit, and it's self-contained, much like the Spyderco Sharpmaker. This is closest to the Spyderco Sharpmaker. It's essentially a Sharpmaker, just a little bit less refined, but the geometries are different, and I'm going to hit on that in a minute. For $12, if you're interested in sharpening knives, I don't know why you don't have one of these. $12, $13, it's a no-brainer. And it can also do something that the Spyderco Sharpmaker can't do, but the Spyderco Sharpmaker can also do something this can't do, and that has to deal with geometries. But it comes in this nice little self-contained wooden box. Here's a large Sebenza up next to it. It's not big at all. Paramilitary too. It's not very big. That's what I'm saying. It's small, easily contained. You could fit it in your backpack, wherever, take it wherever with you. If you're not comfortable touching up stone or touching up your edges freehand, this is perfect. Nice wooden box. Gonna go ahead and get into it. This thing annoyed me right when I got it. What would happen is that you could turn this thing, but the screw didn't turn with it. So instead of actually, that's tight. Instead of turning and it actually unscrewing a screw, see, now I have a gap there because I'm literally unscrewing a screw. It would just sit there and turn on the screw, and I couldn't get it open. So all I did was I set it right where I wanted it. I got the screw tight to where the head was on here, nice and tight. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Kind of takes a bit of force to get it to move. I got the head position where I wanted to. I screwed the screw down in with a screwdriver to put pressure on it, and I super glued the screw to the wood. So now it's perfect. When I unscrew it like this, it's loose. I can get to the stones, and it's perfect when it's right there. That's the perfect tension. It's not moving at all. So that's a nice mod. I suggest you do that. Getting into the actual sharpener, it comes on this side. Now you can get one that comes with just the white stones. I chose to get the one with the white and brown stones. It was only like $3 extra, I think. So 13 bucks, it's a no-brainer. Comes with 2 white stones, and keep in mind they're circular. You turn it again, you get access to your brown stones. Now that should look familiar to you right off the bat. If you're familiar with a Sharpmaker, you know that these stones are essentially a Sharpmaker stone. They're pretty much the same thing. Sharpmaker stones might be of higher quality. The high alumina ceramic might be of higher quality, but you can't beat these for the price. So just like the Sharpmaker, you get medium, you get fine. I've used this pretty extensively, and I could say that the medium is just a tad bit coarser than the Sharpmaker medium. The fine is just a tad bit coarser than the Spyderco Sharpmaker fine. Not a big deal. Still going to give you great edges, and it could be a plus in touch-ups, and this whole kit could be a plus in touch-ups, and I'm going to tell you why. With Spyderco Sharpmaker, you get geometries that are 15 degrees and 20 degrees. So that gives you 30 and 40 degrees inclusive. This gives you 20 degrees and 25, which is 40 and 50 inclusive. A lot of the complaints with people with the Sharpmaker, is that they can't get their knife sharp, and they don't know that their edge is more obtuse than 40 degrees. And that's why the 40-degree setting will not sharpen for them. They get frustrated, they think it's the sharpener, and they don't know to think that the edge is more obtuse than the Sharpmaker can handle. It's not because they're stupid, it's just because they don't know enough about it. They don't even know to think that the edge geometry could play because they have no clue edge geometry has anything to do with it. Anyway, most of the time, knives come with a more, when you can't sharpen it on the Sharpmaker, they're more obtuse than 40 degrees. But I have found that rarely ever is an edge more obtuse than 50 degrees. I think I've gotten 2 knives with an edge that was more obtuse than 50 degrees. One was a 3/4 grind SMF, and the other was a ZT551. And it was just a tad bit over. So, if you have a knife that you can't sharpen on the 40-degree setting on a Sharpmaker, I would bet you money that you could sharpen it on this 50-degree setting. The 50-degree setting is like a catch-all. It's going to work for anything from 0 to 50 degrees. And I'm telling you, there are hardly any factory edges that are ever over 50 degrees, but there are a good bit that are over 40. For some reason, Spyderco is really good about making a 30-degree edge. Sometimes you'll get 40 near the tip, which they kind of do that on purpose. Other manufacturers, Benchmade used to come with a wildly obtuse edge like 55, 60, but they've toned that back a little bit, and to me it's in between 35 and 50 most of the time. Modern knife companies now, Kershaw's excellent about it, ZT's excellent about it. Rarely will you ever get a super thick edge like I did on one of my ZTs. Most modern knife companies are gonna fall under 50 degrees. That's why I like this Lansky Turnbox. The Sharpmaker is great. I love the Sharpmaker. There's no substitute for it, but the angle is kind of limited at 40 degrees. Most people buy Sharpmaker, I apologize for that, because they want an idiot-proof, easy, effective sharpener. And they get it, and most of the time they're not going to be sharpening reprofiled edges because they're a beginner. They want something that's simple. They're going to be sharpening factory edges. And sometimes they'll run across an edge that's just too thick for the Sharpmaker. Rarely ever will it be too thick for this. And you say, well, it's just 5 extra degrees per side. But that 5 extra degrees per side makes a huge difference. I promise you it does. So this comes with 40 and 50. The Spyderco Sharpmaker comes with 30 and 40. So if you have both the systems, you do have a little bit of overlap with the 40, but you still cover the gamut from 30 to 50, and that's why I say you should definitely have this, even if you have the Sharpmaker. I mean, anybody can spare $15 for this. You may not have it on hand. I don't know your situation, but you can save up $15, $13, whatever it costs. All right, let's move on to the stones. The stones, like I said, are very similar to the Spyderco Sharpmaker. You set them up, and this is the 40-degree setting. First thing you're going to notice is that they're shorter, which they are shorter than the Spyderco Sharpmaker. It is noticeably shorter. It's not a problem because you don't have to do so much of a downward motion. You can do more pulling towards you than down, and you can get a nice long stroke. I've sharpened an SE5 on this. No problem. I've actually touched up a jungless on this, an SE jungless. The trick is, not doing so much of a downward stroke. You do need a little bit of downward stroke, but you can do more pulling towards you, almost like you're slicing it. And that'll allow you to do longer edges more effectively with this. Now you see the stones are circular. This is going to do a couple things for you and hinder you in a couple ways. One thing it does for you is if the stones load up, you can just twist them. You can easily just pull them out and twist them a little bit. Twist them, twist them, twist them. You have a lot of area to sharpen on these stones. So it does take them a long time to load completely up. A very long time. But the inverse of that is that essentially this is a Spyderco Sharpmaker stone without the flat. Essentially this whole thing this whole circular stone acts as a corner on the Spyderco Sharpmaker. Now with a corner, you get more pressure, especially with the higher hardness steels like ZDP. If you're sharpening on one of these high alumina ceramics and you're using a lot of pressure, whether you know it or not, there is a lot of force loading up on that very apex of the edge. I don't know the exact PSI, but there is a lot of pounds per square inch loading up on that tiny bit of metal. And on a stone like that, and a high hardness, you can actually chip the edge out while you're running it down the stone. So that's one negative. You don't have a flat to lessen that pressure. That's the whole point of the flats on a Spyderco Sharpmaker, is to lessen the pressure on the edge. You don't have a flat, but what you do have is a nice contour that could sharpen your edge. And if you find that 40 isn't thick enough, you change over here and you move to your 50-degree setting. Now you can look at that. That is pretty obtuse, honestly. Look at how obtuse that edge would be. That's very, very, very obtuse. There are not many edges that I've found that exceed this. What was I about to say? Another negative about this is that, unlike the Sharpmaker, where you can turn it to the flat and you can control your tip and not pull it off the stone, unless you're very, very careful, you will be pulling the tip off the stone, which if you do it repeatedly and in a bad way, you can round your tip off. It's not a negative. All you need to do is just be careful when you get to the tip. Pay attention. Don't do this. Don't do that where you're pulling off. Get to the tip and stop, and then come over here and get to the tip and stop. You see how to do it. It's all just in how you treat it. Be careful with it and you won't damage your knife. But for $13, I know I keep saying that, I'm going to reiterate the fact that this is a screaming deal. $13, you get medium, 2 fine stones, and you get a geometry that the Sharpmaker cannot do, which is 50 degrees, which is what I like to call a catch-all. I would say any knife in your collection you could sharpen with a 50-degree side. And also, if you find that a knife that you have is having some edge stability problems, you can come put a quick 50-degree micro bevel on it, and you can stop those edge stability problems until you can get back and reprofile it to a better geometry. But this Lansky Turnbox is an incredible deal. Like I said, I do use mine pretty extensively. Recently I've moved to thinner edges, so I'm using more of the Sharpmaker than anything in freehand, but it is a screaming deal, and it is very effective, and it is pretty high quality for what it is. I mean, you're paying a little bit over $10 for an excellent sharpener that will definitely augment a Spyderco Sharpmaker very well. So I hope I hit on everything. If not, I'm sorry. I'll annotate it in if you guys know that I missed something. But anyway, for those guys that wanted to see this, it's an excellent sharpener, and it's not slumming it for me at all. One thing I want to say is that with sharpening, it's not the cost of the materials, it's your experience and how the tool works. This tool doesn't have to be expensive to work really, really well. Sure, Lansky could charge $30 or $40 for it, but there's no need to. It's not worth that. So you could pay $15 and get a very high quality sharpener and save that money for a knife. So just my 2 cents. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.